Yeah, you know, I did want to call it the broken Western male, but that would presuppose that I know the conditions in other Western countries. I probably know the conditions in 3 Western countries, or maybe 4. I know Israel fairly well. No expert, but a little bit. I know England pretty darn well. I lived there a long time. And I know Australia quite well, because my wife's from Australia. We visit there a lot. But I don't know about the French males and the Swedish males. There is a general Western culture, and I think it's just out of control. You know, if we men want to be honest, here's a little story based on this. I was in Chicago lecturing the Broken American Male when it first came out in January. And it was a friend of mine who organized this, so there were like 100 men in the room. And I gave this speech, and there was dead silence. It was the first time I ever spoke about it to an all-male audience. And a guy stood up and said, I have to disagree with another guy. And then finally, one guy stood up, and he really was crying, and he was bawling his eyes, and he said, you could not have known me better. Had you lived in my home, you have described me to the T, and then another man, and then another man, and then another man. We men are sick of being judged by how much money we have or don't have. We're sick of it. We're sick of prestige and status being everything. It's so dehumanizing. I'm sick of it. If I could take, you know, a surgical knife and cut out my ambition to some extent, to have an ambition lobotomy, I really wouldn't do it because my ambition makes me who I am. I'm not saying we shouldn't be ambitious men. I'm saying that we have to be ambitious for a total package of success. I'm saying that there should be 5 things that define masculine success. Success as a husband, success as a father, success as a communal participant, success in enlightenment, gaining wisdom, and finally success in making money. As long as it's not more than 20%, it's a good thing. The moment it becomes 99%, it will kill us.
So time for 1 or 2 more. Yes, right in the middle. Do you have any microphone?
Yes, I just have a...
Sorry, I was going for the woman right in the middle, and then we'll go to you, and then we'll be all set. Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Rabbi Botek, I'd like to know if you think there's a relationship between the proliferation of pornography and the increase in human trafficking and the general inability to finally get rid of the purchase of women, mainly women, in prostitution. Is there a relationship between the broken American male and those things that which persist and are tolerated in our society?
Yes, absolutely. It's one of the main chapters of the book. In the Broken American Male, I argue that men have ceased being sex addicts. Like, the sex addict is not a bad thing. I know, oh, this guy's a sex addict. If you're a married man and you're a sex addict with your wife, more power to you. I think passion is very important in marriage. Would it that were true? Men today are not sex addicts anymore, they're porn addicts, and there's a very big difference. The sex addict loves sex. He loves the intense emotion and the strong connectedness that sex creates, that sex conjures up, like in the beautiful verse from the book of Genesis, Genesis 2:24. Therefore shall a man leave his father and leave his mother. He shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall become one flesh. He shall cleave, a clear sexual euphemism. He will make love to his wife, and as a result of which, they'll become one flesh. That's the sex addict. He loves the scent of a woman, the touch of a woman, the sound of a woman. The porn addict wants none of that. He doesn't want to feel anything. He doesn't like sex, which is why he doesn't touch his wife. If he had sex, he'd have to deal with all the strong emotions it wakes up. He's a porn addict because he wants male orgasm, not sex. What is male orgasm? The French call it le petit mort, the little death. When men climax, they're corpses, they're dead. They feel nothing. That's what he wants. He wants the numbness, the stillness, and the deadness that porn allows him to experience. What is porn? It's orgasm without sex. And men are using it to quiet their demons. They use it, you know, most men say they use things like porn to fall asleep at night. It's a tranquilizer. It's a relaxant. Men today are so tormented by so many demons that whisper in their ear that they're failures, that they'll do anything to quiet them. This is where alcoholism comes from. This is where porn comes from. This is where workaholism comes from. What is workaholism? There's a guy standing on your shoulder telling you day and night, you're a failure, you're a nothing, but if you work harder, you'll finally succeed. It pushes him. The proliferation of porn is becoming an epidemic in our culture. About 40 million American men are addicted to porn. And we're talking by addiction, we mean an hour or so a day. I get emails from my close friends who send me porn pictures as if this was something normal to do between 2 guys. It's unbelievable. It's like it's funny. The degradation of women, the humiliation of women. There's something else about the porn addict. He becomes addicted to fantasy women because, think about this. And this is one of the important points I make in the book. The broken American male creates the inadequate American female. Meaning, why are there so many women who are so depressed today? I said 1 out of 3 American women are on an antidepressant. Well, the answer is, the man who doesn't love himself can't love his wife. And it goes beyond that. If I see myself as a complete loser, as a failure, because my culture has trained me to look at myself as a loser, so that I work harder, so that I buy things to feel better about myself. If I see myself as a loser, then the woman dumb enough, stupid enough to marry me is a loser squared. She's an even bigger loser than I am. Now you begin to understand why men don't get an ego boost from their wives being attracted to them or complimenting them. He gets an ego boost from the secretary giving him a compliment. He gets an ego boost from his coworker giving him. That's why men have affairs. Women have affairs for one reason. All the studies show this. Neglect. If you neglect your husband, that's the main reason women have affairs. Women who are focused on by their husbands almost never cheat. This has been shown by the most radical feminists to the most conservative researchers. From Shearite to to some of my books and everything in between. Did I just paint myself as a right-wing nut? Okay. But men have affairs for ego boosts. So, let's get this straight. The woman you're not married to can give you an ego boost by saying, I find you sexy. But your wife tells you that every day. It does nothing for you. Now why? Because you look at her as a failure. She is bone of your bone, flesh of your flesh. If you're a nothing, she's an even bigger nothing. Because she actually chose you. Now you see why men don't make love to their wives. And now you see why they become addicted to porn. What is porn? Fantasy women. Tens. Giant this, long this. So it's these fantasy women, they all want me. Look at all these women, they're all... And all you have to do sometimes is think to yourself, as you're looking at this garbage, so my friends tell me. And all you have to think to yourself is, wants me? She wants my cash. There's a director staying behind her saying, look sexy, and all she's thinking about is my wallet. She's part of the problem. That everyone judges me for my wallet. But they are directly related. And I want to tell you, very finally, on Shalom in the Home, I was saddened to discover how many husbands we work with, where the real story was an addiction to porn. And I get hundreds of emails a month from wives around the United States telling me about their husband's addictions, and they don't know what to do about it. And the reason why it's so insidious as well is it's not seen as anything serious. I'm not cheating. You're not cheating. Adultery is not a sin of commission. If a wife loves her husband, she'll forgive him for cheating. Not that it's excusable, it's a terrible sin. But she'll still forgive him because she loves him. The sin of adultery is not that you've done something wrong. It's a sin of omission. You have failed to do something right. All the love, passion, attention that your marriage needs to survive was given to another woman. When you divorce after adultery, it's usually because of the neglect of the marriage, not because you've done something. So, porn provides for that same neglect. If a man's sexual steam is being released for fantasy women, and he doesn't make his own wife feel like she's sexy, that marriage is not going to survive.
Final question, sir.
Yes, I want to say I'm a single adult. I'm just glad that you brought up the fact that it's not always men who have the commitment problems, because I've been in relationships where it was the woman who wanted to be the doctor, wanted to be on Wall Street, wanted to run business, and that got in the way. But actually, the question I had is that I'm the eldest of 8, and I'm the proud uncle of 16 nephews and nieces. And you brought up the fact that people don't have big families, but my brother has 4, and that's considered like unbelievable. But I know that for my sisters it was very difficult because they wanted to stay at home, they made certain sacrifices, even though they were professionals. And I think that the problem is not just that people, even if they want to have larger families, I found that society really doesn't support that. Hasn't that been yours? We talk that we're family friendly. We live in Manhattan, which I feel is like the most un-kid friendly place in the world. Don't you feel that there are also some societal pressures that prevent people from having more children? I just wanted to know your thoughts on that.